A warm welcome back to the Dr. Balmer channel. Now, it was a while ago that we last had a look at my test bench system with components like the AMD A10 7850K overclocked to its limits, and also GTX 950 from ASUS, also overclocked to its limits on air and standard available overclocking methods, so to speak, via software. So yeah, it was a while ago, and if you remember my last videos where we had a look at the GTX 950, I was wondering that about we did beat some world records for the GPU and the CPU combination, and also we did upgrade the cooling quite a bit to a Noctua NHD15 with triple fans, and we got some respectable scores and uplift from overclocking. So if you haven't seen those videos, that series of videos, then do have a look. I learned a whole lot in the process, so maybe you will learn something as well if you're interested in overclocking CPU, GPU, memory and stuff like that, and mitigating BSODs and yeah, things like that. Also right now I'm waiting for some updates to run on this system, since I haven't touched this system for quite a while, and yeah, it's lacking a bit on the update front. I'm running Windows 10 on this machine, so because the 7850K does not support Windows 11 natively, but Windows 10 should be fine. So yeah. However, while that all is happening, let's have a look at a couple of things. So first of all, I have a little surprise here. Yeah, so this is a GPU from MSI. I bought it second hand, and if we turn it over a bit, let's have a closer look what it says. GTX 960 gaming 2GB. So yeah, if you remember, I wanted to sort of continue the overclocking series by switching from the 950 to the 960, and well, now I have a 960. I have no idea if it works. I bought it second hand off of an auction site locally here, and let's see, what was the purchase amount? The purchase amount was about $42, including about $5 shipping, so about $37 for the card itself. And yeah, so $37 for the card and $42 in total for 960 in the year of 2023. I mean, yeah, it's not a good deal, I suppose, but at least the card looked decent. It's pretty clean, but if we turn it around, we can see that the screw here seems to be untampered with, so maybe we should repaste it and do a teardown of it. But before I do that, I want to check that it actually works, and so that's the plan. This is the part 1 for this GTX 960, and if it works, there will be many more parts where we overclock it and see if we can beat some scores on 3D Mark for Firestrike and Timespy, and you know the deal if you have followed the the overclocking series for the GTX 950 card. So this card is substantially larger in sheer size and a lot heavier as well, so at least that's a good start. And while we wait, let's compare what is the difference between the 950 and the 960. So yeah, and also I'm using an external microphone this time, connected to my phone, and there is a bit of background noise. That's because my computer system bench, open bench, is running, and it's the fans are quite loud at the moment. So sorry for that, but let's compare the 950 and 960 specs. So on the top here I have the GTX 950, and it was it was a card in the year of 2015, as well as the 960. Both run PCI Express 2.0, 3.0 of course. Both have 2 GB of GDDR5, 128-bit bus on both. Although there was a variant with 3 GB on the 960 running 192-bit bus, but I suspect that this MSI is not of that kind. So we have let's see here. The GPU clock for 950 is at 1024 MHz, and the 960 is a bit above that at 1127 at stock. And the memory clock is 1753 on the 960 at stock, while it's at 1653 at stock for the 950. But we will overclock the 960 just as we did with the 950, so this doesn't matter too much currently. But the shader count it was let's see here, 768 for the 950 and 1024 for the 960, so that's quite an upgrade actually. And TMUs 48 versus 64, that's also quite an upgrade. But the number of ROPs is the same at 32 for both the 950 and the 960. Yeah, so that's what we have to deal with. And let's also have a look at the Hall of Fame for the 3D Mark Firestrike and Timespy, and see what kind of achievements we got at the 950 overclocking. So it's the 7850K, this one. GPU is 950, and let's start with the Timespy. Why not? And have a look here. Oh yeah, so 2174, and Dr. Balmer, yeah, we're still at the very top here for the combination of the CPU and GPU. And it was in February 19th of this year that we set this score. GPU clock of 4.5 GHz, GPU core clock 1524, and GPU mem clock 2079. CPU score was 2162, graphics score 2177, and overall 2174. And then let's choose not Timespy, but let's choose Firestrike and have a look. yes, we are still at the very top here, and 6,000, yeah, we broke the 6,000 points barrier on the GTX 950, and that was pretty nice actually. We got a huge graphics score leap here from the second position score we had, and GPU clock 4.5 GHz as well. Core clock on the GPU 1543. Memory clock 2093. Yeah. Okay, so now we know what we have to go up against. But let's see what the scores look like on the GTX 960. So around 6,000 points we got for the 950 on Firestrike, and 2,174 on Timespy. So let's choose another GPU here then, and choose the 960 here. Alright, and so the top position score in Firestrike is 6,404 for the GPU-CPU combination by some fakie, and it was set in 2016. CPU clock substantially lower by about 100 MHz or so. Okay, and let's choose now the Timespy. So we're at the top score by some anonymous American in May 13th, 2017. 2,432, but the CPU clock was only 4,100 MHz on the 7850K, so I remain hopeful in this regard. One of the newer scores we have here from 2019 at almost 2.4 thousand points. We have one from 2020, 2,346. Yeah, about 2022 we have. Look at that. March 8th, 2022. 2,256 points. So yeah, this is what we have to go up against. And we will do our best, of course. And given that this card actually works, that would be a start, at least. So yeah, but another thing, let me just fetch it. Yeah, another little mystery surprise box is this little mystery surprise box. And this is, maybe you have seen it on AliExpress and stuff, and sites like that. It's a little external power on reset button, maybe power on button, perhaps, with some LED inside as well. So yeah, it's a power button, and we have some yeah, power LED LEDs and power switch connector here. So why not? As you may remember from before, let's have a look here. I have a little custom button here connected to the motherboard there, and I can use that as a reset switch maybe for now, and then use this one, if it works properly, as the power on button, which will be nice, and it includes a couple of sticky pads, I think, so we can fasten it to the table or the chassis or something like that. We'll also get a little instructions manual. So let's also upgrade this while we're at it. And yeah, so the plan here is to start off with this little button and then also connect the GPU. I'm just waiting for this one to finish, and once it has finished we'll get straight to it. So hang on a moment. Alright, so I have turned the system off, and let's start with connecting this one. So let's have a look. Currently this switch is connected to the power switch, so we'll replace it directly. And I have turned off the power supply. Also, let's see what it says here. Power LED, HD LED, reset. So HD LED reset. Okay, we can if I'm not mistaken, it should be the /2 maybe for reset. And then power LED, maybe we can connect it to HDD LED, and so then we can see if there is some hard drive activity, which is more useful than just the power state constantly turned on, for instance. So maybe something like this, or this one should be aligned to the left maybe. So yeah, I don't know, we'll see about that. So okay, and now then, let's turn our attention to the GPU and zoom out a bit, something like this. Yeah, so I will remove this power plug. It was a 6-pin for the 950, and I shall remove the HDMI. Unscrew that one, and let's see if there's a little safety thing going on. Yeah, a little bit of a safety thing going on. Yeah, this card has served us very well, actually. So all right, let's tuck those connectors in there. And bring in the new beast. Maybe beast is a bit of an overstatement for a GTX 960, but you know. That's the beast that we have got currently. And it's nothing wrong with the 960, I hope. We will find out pretty soon. So reseating this screw here. And so this one has an 8-pin, so we will have to combine these two little friends. Okay. All right. So just by the looks of it, it's pretty nice. Now let's maybe we can fasten this one somewhere here. Can tuck that cable in there and then just put this right here or something. So I will take one of these pads, and they actually sent 2 pads, which is nice. And it seems like a rubbery pad that should be easily removable, I believe, if you want to remove it. And yeah, I don't know, I can align it this way maybe, or should I say, yeah, it removes pretty easily. Put it over here maybe. Okay, great. So I shall turn on the power switch here on the power supply, and I mustn't forget the HDMI cable, otherwise there will certainly not be any output. I'll have to loosen this screw, I realize. Okay, so this rod is a bit in the way, but let's fasten it here instead. Something like that should do. Yeah, let's try the on button then. Things are spinning up, which is a start. And we got display output. Okay. And we have the MSI logo here. And it seems that this card maybe also has a 0 RPM mode. Okay, let's log into Windows. Oh, and since we connected the power button to the HD LED, we can see that it flickers a lot. But okay, fair enough. So it switches color and flickers with the HD activity. But that's great, because then I see that something's going on in case I wonder. So yeah, I have the Precision app running, and it's showing the GeForce 960. GPU temperature is 30 degrees. Everything has been defaulted, so that's good. If we check the let's see here, there I have it. The driver version, we're at February 23, so I will have to update that one. and that's something I'm gonna do first, and then we can do some stock run maybe. I'll have to change the BIOS preset and stuff like that, but maybe we can check the temperatures of the GPU first as well, and stuff like that. So yeah, let me update the GPU driver first. So before installing the new driver, I thought we should run a little Furmak, which I updated, and see what figures we get. So GPU clock 1.3 GHz, memory 1752, GPU temperature 65, hotspot 75, and now the fans started to spin. Yeah, so we're GPU load 99%, memory controller load 98%, board power draw 127 watts, GPU 100 watts, PCI slot 50, 8 pin 76 watts, 95-96% of TDP. Performance cap reason thermal maybe? Power and thermal. By temperature limit, yeah. So we will adjust all those things, and the fan curve as well. Let's see here, we're at 71 FPS in that one, but it doesn't say too much right now, so yeah, we're about at 80 degrees here, hotspot 89. And this is interesting because we'll see what happens once we have tear down the card and repasted it. That would be nice to see what happens. But it seems like we haven't run this for too long, 2.5 minutes, but we're sitting stably at about 90 degrees, and it seems that we're currently power limited, not thermal limited, but we're pretty close up there, I think. Fan speed 78%, and the fan is pretty quiet. 1800 RPM, but we're rising, or keeping pretty steady actually. But the clock's 1290 and memory 7052 steadily. So yeah, these are the current figures, but I will update the driver now, and then let's do a stock run. So I'm in the BIOS here, and well, I thought that which BIOS profile should we choose for our first stock runs. I do have let's zoom in a bit. So I do have one that's called Bench OK, which was, if I remember correctly, was okay both for Firestrike and Timespy. There is a Firestrike and a Timespy, and remembering that Timespy was a bit more quirky, and we needed a little bit lower overclock settings for Timespy to work. But I'm thinking, okay, let's maybe go with a Bench OK and see what that looks like, because let's see here, that's number 5. So it's 4472 megahertz on the CPU, 1941 on the RAM. However, yes, and then we have 2080, it will be on the north bridge at 104 B clock. .655. What did we have on the... Because if I'm not mistaken, then we did identify that... let's see, let's load the Firestrike number 6 instead. So, and check this one out. There we have 97 on the B clock, 4559 megahertz on the CPU, DRAM at 2069. Because if I remember correctly, we identified that the lower DRAM voltage, yes, 1.6, did in fact result in better stability of the RAM at higher frequencies. So maybe we can lower to 1.6 on the bench OK. Oops. Okay. So because I want to be able to bench both on Firestrike and Timespy. So yeah, let's do that. Let's try it. We'll go to number 5 then, which is bench OK. Just so we can get some stock numbers with the system fairly overclocked, but stock enough to run both Firestrike and Timespy, hopefully. I don't know, maybe it won't, but so then we'll be at 100 megahertz or so lower, maybe 80 megahertz lower on the clock here for the CPU, and on the RAM let's set 1.6 straight, and then save, changes, and reset. Okay, so we got this far into Windows. However, I think I might need to increase the fan speed a bit because we're running pretty overclocked. So let's choose that one, or maybe full speed. Yeah, so there will be a bit of noise because we don't want any crashes due to overheating when running the benches, ideally. And yeah, so in the precision here from EVGA, oh yeah, I wanted just to tell you that also the device manager, let's bring that up, and have a look here. The driver is from October 19th, it's 31.0.15.4592. Yes, in precision I haven't changed anything. So let's choose defaults just to have a look at what they look like. So 100% power offset. I wonder what the max will be. 108. That's not a whole lot of an increase, unfortunately, on this MSI card. On the 950 we had 120, but okay. And then yeah, we'll go with default like this. Just close it. And yeah, if I'm not mistaken, we did run a Furmak test previously. So let's do that now as well. I have updated Furmak to 1.37.2, and let's run a 180, right? Benchmark. And let's see what happens. So it takes about a minute, and we're at 43 FPS right now. The GPU fans are not yet spinning. Oh yeah, now they started spinning. So let's have a look here. 42 FPS. If I'm not mistaken, we managed to reach about 40 or 42 FPS on the 950 after the overclock. So let's check what we achieve here. If we zoom in a bit, maybe a bit much. Max GPU temp 79, which is a bit high. Even okay, it's Furmak, but still, it was a short test of about a minute, so 17 points. Okay, let's write Dr. Balmer here and submit this. So I have made a copy of my little notepad document, and well, let me just make this a bit silent. So I fetched the scores from the GTX 950 as well, but starting with the 960 now at stock, but with a slight overclock on the system. We can see that we got 2517 points and 42 FPS. Okay. And if we check the stock numbers for the 950, that was 2087. But I believe the system was less overclocked than the rest of the system. But still, that's about 400 something points more, which is a decent upgrade stock to stock. However, if we compare with the overclocked 950, we got 2533 points. It seems it was on December 28th, 2022. So yeah, we had a higher score on the 950. So this will make it very interesting to see actually what kind of values we will get from running 3D Mark. Alright, in 3D Mark then, Firestrike, let's start off with that one and just run it. And I will keep a close look at the bottom of the screen where we have the FPS numbers, and we'll see if what kind of figures we get. So in Firestrike on the 950, on a good run, I believe we had about 1035 frames on the first test. So I will back off a little bit from the bench computer, hopefully to reduce some of the noise from the fans. So 1035 frames or so we got on the 950. We're up to 500 now. The FPS is 32, 35. So let's see here. 800 frames, 900. 1000, oh yeah, a little higher. Maybe 1040 or something we ended up at. The second test on the 950, on the overclock results, we got about 1305 frames at the end of the bench test, graphics test 2. So 1305. Let's see what we get here. So pretty much I'm expecting this 960 then, based on the Furmak results. I'm expecting this to perform as the 950 overclocked, pretty much, more or less. So 1305 or something. We're up at 1000 now. 1100, 1200. Oh, that's less. That's like 1280 or so, not 1305. So okay. Test number 3 is let's see here, about 330 frames. But this one I believe is yeah, it's up to 250, 300, 20, 30, 330 or so, which is pretty much exactly what we got on the 950 overclocked. But that was a CPU test, and that will vary a bit with the BIOS that we choose. So the combined test on the 950 we got about 215. So we're up at 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 130, 150, 160, 70, 180, 190, 200. Oh, that's 205 or something. That's less than 215. Okay, so we got 5831. Alright. So we already get some info here. Can zoom in a little bit. 5831. Average is 5621 in the database from 3DMark, and the best score is 6404. Yeah, let's compare these figures a bit with the 950 results. Okay, so I have made a copy of my 3DMark file, and I have written 960 here, but the values below here are from the 950 overclocking. So Firestrike, let's see, 5831. Our stock run was 5140. So we're clearly, 5831 is clearly higher, but we must remember that at 5140 we didn't mess all that much with the rest of the system. But let's try to find where we're at in comparison to the 950 then. So 58, Oh yeah, I removed the parts where we modified the system a bit. I can bring up that file as well. Let's see here. So I have benchmarks 950, 3D mark 58, 31, 58, 28. Yeah, I believe this is the closest one, maybe 58, 36 we have here. Maybe this one is closest. No, actually this one is closer. So this is equivalent to running 120 power offset, 195 core, 850 mem on the 950. So pretty close to maximum settings. We had 4.3 gigahertz on the CPU. And we got 5828 on the total score. GPU 7577. Now we got 7550. So we actually got a lower GPU score now than on the 950 overclocked. Physics 5165, we got 5375 now. And 2296 on the combined, and now we got 2260 on the combined. So very interesting. But this will be our stock score, so I will enter the numbers here. So let's say 5831. GPU was 7550. Physics 5375, combined 2260. And I will write here that this is BIOS bench OK, it was called. So these numbers are from 950, and we'll fill this in as we go, so I can separate it. And these numbers as well are for the 950 GPU, just to have a little comparison while we fill in. Okay, so that's a start. Let's I'm very interested. Let's see how compare results online, right? Let's see where 5831 makes us end up. So can I yeah, let's go to results. CPU is the 7850K, GPU is 960, and we want Firestrike. $58.31 currently places us at, oh dear, 51 for 58.30. Okay, we only see the top 100, it seems. That result is not from these runs. Okay, so we're below 100. Okay, 58.31. We're pretty close to being ranked around 110 or so, maybe, I would suspect. But we will improve this soon enough, so bear with me. But in the meantime, let's run Timespy and see if it actually works, because we had some issues with Timespy, I remember. Once again, I will have a look at the oh yeah, I must increase that fan speed. So Timespy has 3 tests on the 950. On a good run there, on the top runs I believe, we got 810 frames for the first graphics test, GT1. $700 frames now. 750, 60, 70, 80, 90, 825 or something. 825, that's more, at least. Graphics test 2 on the 950 we got about 897 frames, one of the better runs. Eight 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 935 or so, which is more than 897, so this bodes well. The last test is a CPU test, so this will be less dependent on the GPU maybe. But with the 950 on the better overclocking runs, we got 880 frames or so. So let's see where we end up. We're at 400 now. Eight 60, 878, so maybe 880. Yeah, pretty much the same as on the 950. Yeah, so now we got a short wait here for the results, and they're arriving now. Okay, let me just reduce the fans here. 2,226. It says it's great. Well, that's great. The average is 2,158 in the database. The best score is 2,432. Okay. So let's bring up our comparison notepad. So having the numbers for the GTX 950, even with a higher CPU overclock, and the maximum we got was 2174, and this is at stock, clearly higher. At stock for a GPU, that is, not the CPU and the system, but still. So that's pretty nice. And we had a graphics score of 2241 now, and 2177 on the 950. So we're higher there already at stock. And the CPU 2162. So 20 points higher than we have now on the CPU, because the CPU was more overclocked. I was just about to record the Timespy scores in my notepad sheet, but then I got a blue screen, so yeah, it wasn't 100% stable, but I'm thinking that okay, I've compared my settings in BIOS here with the other presets that I've saved in the BIOS, so I'm thinking that we'll still run the bench OK preset, and I will try to increase CPU offset a little bit. So instead of 0.125, 0.13125, okay. The north bridge voltage is 0.125, and lowering the DRAM to 1.6, and let's try that. So hopefully it will be more stable. And we're booted into Windows, and I have entered the stock run numbers here on the BIOS bench OK, and 26 points we got, which I think is very good, considering that it is more than the 2174 that we got on the 950 overclocked to its max, as far as we achieved. So these scores below, these are from the 950 runs. This is a copy of the notepad document, so these are the old scores and these are the new scores for 960. So we can see that we have quite a few extra points here. I mean, 22, 26, even at 120 power, 195 core, 875 memory. We got 21, 26 on the 950. And let's do a quick score comparison in leaderboards. So 22, 26. We have, let's see, a graphics score, CPU score. So 22, 26. That's not too bad, actually. Oh, let's see here. Wait a minute. 22, 26. Oh yeah. There is one other entry from some Ani monster. Also 2226, CPU 2241, no, graphics score 2241, and the other one had 2368, but we haven't overclocked anything yet. The CPU score is 2146 in our case, and only 1662 in the other Ani monster's case. So I think we have a strong case for us going here on the Timespy, maybe. 2226, what's the first position here? 2432, that's still quite a jump to do. But I'm thinking okay, we've come thus far, and before we repaste the card, why don't we increase the target here? So The maximum is 108 power offset, 108%. So why don't we do only that? Apply, save, and see what we get, because then we'll use as much power as we can currently, and we can evaluate if first of all if that makes any difference. So let's run Furmak first. And we will see then if the repaste does anything while using as much power as we're allowed to. That would be quite an interesting thing. So the idea is to do a Furmak run and see if that makes a difference here, and then do a run in Firestrike and Timespy, and then we'll end this first video on the GTX 960 here or there, and then we start off the next part 2, with some teardown and repaste of the GPU. I think that's a good idea, and then after repasting we will of course also do some runs and start overclocking a bit. Okay, so let's see what we got here. 2511 points. Isn't that lower? So yeah, 2511. That's interesting. That's what we got now with a 108 power offset. And if we look at the other score we got, 2517 before applying a 108 power offset. But okay, Furmak, sure, I mean a few points here and there, so that doesn't necessarily mean anything. We might be hitting some temperature wall or something, but we'll find out. So Firestrike, let's go. And the score is 5869. Let's compare that to our previous run. I'm just gonna silence the fans a bit. So 5831 we got on the 960 before increasing the power limit. So yes, okay, we can 108 power limit, and we got 5869. That's an increase at least. GPU is 76. So a little 26 points on the GPU actually. Physics score is 5343, which is a little bit lower than we had on our stock run. So if we would have the same physics score, we would have even higher score in total on the overall. Combined 2310. That's a jump actually up. So okay, 5869. So let's see, we weren't too far away from the 100th place. So compare results online. 5869. So 7850k, 960, and Firestrike. What did we have? 5869. Yeah, so let's see here. 5869. We have advanced to a shared 88th, 89th place. So some Bilbo Ba also got the same score. But yeah, 88, 89. We're moving somewhere, and currently in the right direction, which is nice. So let's continue with the Timespy. Alright, the run has finished, so let me silence the fans a bit. 22:33. What did we have previously? Let's have a look. So, GTX 960. Timespy, and 22:26 we had. So yeah, 22:33. That's a decent uplift, considering Timespy does not produce overwhelmingly large uplifts just like that, as we learned from the GTX 950. Series. So yeah, let's so we got 22:33. GPU was 2250, so 9 points there from the last run without the power limit, but the power limit is not 120, it's actually 108. And the CPU score 2144, and the BIOS is the same. Yeah, nevertheless an uplift. So 2233. Let's see where we end up now. So 7850K, 960 Timespy. 2233. 2233. Okay, 28th. So our previous score was 2226, and we have advanced 1, 2, 3 positions. So placed 28th. So not bad, actually. Yeah. So far great success and no blue screens yet. Touch wood. But yeah, I'm pretty pleased so far, and I think that let's stop here today and start the next video with some repaste and teardown of this video card, and see if we can get some better thermal results and maybe some more points if we're hitting some thermal limit. The card does run a little bit hot, hotter than the 950. I mean, the cooler isn't massive. It's a dual slot card, and I mean, yes, the cooler on the 950 was not massive either. But the 950 is a much weaker card as well. I'm a bit disappointed that we only can increase the power limit to 108%. But okay for now. Let's see what we can do with it. Alright, I'm very happy to have successfully started the GPU overclocking series again, and finally getting a hold of a 960 card. Yeah, that's it for today. I hope you have enjoyed it, and if you do have any comments, leave them in the comment section. And thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one. Bye bye.